Friday the 13th, the final chapter, wasn't just another sequel. It was the movie that promised to kill off Jason once and for all. Audiences saw some of the bloodiest kills in the franchise, a 12-year-old kid named Corey Feldman stepping up as the unlikely hero, and a young Crispin Glover stealing scenes with his strange dance. But behind the camera, actors froze in real lakes. The stuntman clashed with the director, and an alternate ending was scrapped at the last second. These are 10 creepiest facts about Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And hidden inside is the truth that Corey Feldman filmed Jason's death scene while running a fever. Number 1. The kid who killed Jason. One of the boldest choices in the final chapter was putting a 12-year-old at the center of the story. Corey Feldman played Tommy Jarvis, a horror-obsessed kid who ended up being the one to take down Jason Voorhees. At first, producers doubted if a child could carry such a violent climax, especially the scene where Tommy hacked Jason with a machete. But Feldman pulled it off with raw energy, giving the movie a shocking twist. The most feared killer in slasher history was defeated by a child. This gamble turned Feldman into a breakout star and made Tommy Jarvis a central figure in later sequels. Number 2. The canceled brain melt ending. Most fans know Jason's head slid down a machete in the finale, but that wasn't the original plan. Makeup legend Tom Savini wanted something far more shocking. Tommy Jarvis building a homemade electrical device that would melt Jason's brain and explode his head. The effect would have been wild and completely changed Tommy's character into a young scientist as well as a monster slayer. But Paramount thought it strayed too far from the Friday formula, so they scrapped it. The machete kill was actually a last-minute idea, yet it ended up becoming one of the most iconic deaths in horror history. Number 3. Hypothermia on set. Not all the danger stayed on screen. Actress Judi Aronson, who played Samantha, had to shoot her death scene while lying in a raft on a real lake. The problem? It was the middle of winter in California, and the water was freezing cold. Her lower body was protected with a wetsuit, but from the waist up, she had to stay exposed for hours, shivering until she nearly collapsed. Ted White, the stuntman playing Jason, was so furious he threatened to walk off the movie if she wasn't pulled out. The clash almost shut down filming, proving that the scariest part of the production wasn't Jason, it was the brutal conditions behind the camera. Number 4. The misleading final chapter. When Paramount marketed Part 4 as the final chapter, audiences believed it would truly be the end of Jason Voorhees. The studio wanted to cash out before the slasher craze lost steam and even used the tagline "Jason's Last Stand," but it was all a trick. The movie made over $32 million, becoming one of the most successful entries in the series. Instead of killing Jason, the so-called finale cemented his immortality, proving you can't keep a horror icon down. Number 5. Crispin Glover's legendary dance. Long before he starred in Back to the Future, Crispin Glover played Jimmy in the final chapter and gave fans one of the strangest, most talked-about moments in slasher history. His wild, offbeat dance wasn't scripted. It was simply Glover moving to the music in his own bizarre way. What could have been awkward turned into gold, a creepy, hilarious scene that made Jimmy a fan favorite. Decades later, that dance is still memed, parodied, and remembered as one of the highlights of the film. Number 6. The bald cap flu. Corey Feldman's transformation into Tommy Jarvis required him to wear a bald cap for days at a time. The process was long, uncomfortable, and by the final shoot, it pushed his body over the edge. Feldman ended up catching the flu, yet he still had to film the brutal climax where Tommy hacked Jason to death. Watching the scene today, it's chilling to realize the kid was pale, weak, and burning with fever, but still delivered one of the most unforgettable finales in the franchise. Number 7. The return of horror royalty. The final chapter marked the return of special effects legend Tom Savini, the man who gave Jason his terrifying look in the very first movie. Paramount brought him back for one clear purpose: to end Jason in style. Savini treated it as unfinished business, believing that the creator should also be the one to kill his monster. His effects pushed boundaries: Doug's skull crushed in the shower, Crispin Glover's corkscrew death, and the infamous machete to the head finale. The moment Jason's face slid down the blade was both shocking and poetic. Fans felt the franchise had come full circle, with horror royalty returning to close the chapter he started. Number 8. The Cowboy Who Became Jason. Jason Voorhees had been played before, but in the final chapter he was brought to life by veteran stuntman Ted White. White had doubled for Hollywood legends like John Wayne, and he carried that tough cowboy attitude straight into the role. His towering presence and calculated movements gave Jason a new level of menace. But behind the mask, White hated how director Joseph Zito pushed the cast to extremes. He called Zito a bully and more than once threatened to quit the movie. The tension between the two gave Jason an edge. This wasn't just a stuntman in a mask, it was a seasoned pro channeling real anger into the role. Number 9. A director who pushed too hard. Joseph Zito was hired to direct and promised to deliver a darker, smarter Friday movie. But his perfectionist style came with a cost. He demanded endless night shoots in the freezing cold, ordered take after take, and pushed the cast beyond their limits. Tensions ran high, especially with stuntman Ted White, who nearly quit multiple times. For the actors, filming the final chapter sometimes felt as punishing as the kills on screen. Yet that relentless drive gave the movie its gritty, intense atmosphere. One reason fans still call it a franchise high point. Number 10. The Twin Gimmick. Paramount wanted Part 4 to stand out, so they hired identical twins Camilla and Carrie Moore, best known as the Doublemint twins from commercials, to play Tina and Terry. Casting real twins added instant buzz in the 80s when twin gimmicks were trendy and eye-catching. Though their roles were small, their presence gave the film a unique flair and playful energy that fans still remember. Their identical looks created curiosity and made their scenes stand out among the usual teen cast. While the twins weren't central to the story, they became a fun piece of Friday the 13th history, proving even a simple casting stunt can leave a lasting impression decades later. Friday the 13th. The final chapter was never really the end. Marketed as Jason's death, it instead became the movie that redefined him. A child hero, brutal effects, backstage fights, freezing lakes, and even Crispin Glover's unforgettable dance turned what could have been a routine sequel into one of the most beloved slashers ever made. The irony is that the so-called finale only proved Jason would never die. He lives on through sequels, reboots, and fans who still gather to watch him decades later. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and remember, Jason always comes back.